friends. Today we're going to be talking about Rental Family. This is the new film by Hikari, starring Brendan Fraser. So I kind of want to talk about this film for a little bit. Again, I'm not going to give you a lot of spoilers for this film because I think it's just something that isn't really, something to be spoiled, but I'm just going to go slightly deep into why I think this film is kind of just a slight shrug. But yeah, let's kind of talk about it because this was one of those films that was kind of anticipated for me because I really like Brendan Fraser as an actor, especially as of late. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Whale, the movie as a whole, but I think his performance in that film was really special, and I wanted him to kind of succeed a bit as far as, giving different sides of his acting abilities, and I think here with The Rental Family you see that. So let's kind of start with the plot of this film. So basically you have an American actor in Tokyo who is struggling to find a job as an actor in Japan, and one day his agent calls him and she's basically just hey, I have this job in this cemetery in this small town in Japan, and I want you to go over there and act for a little bit. And it's a whole situation where Brendan Fraser's character doesn't understand what's happening, but then eventually it turns out that the people that hired Brendan Fraser's character is a company that offers rental families, people who are trying to be part of a family as a fake family member. So you have one family who's trying to have a person who's going to act like a father, one that's trying to act like a friend, etc., etc. And this basically opens up a space where Brendan Fraser's character tries to be, the person that they can be in other families. And this kind of thematic is really interesting because I've never expected something like this or some sort of job like this as, an American person, because as you're watching the film is really ingrained in Japanese culture. And from the beginning, one of the main characters of the film explains to Brendan Fraser's character, explaining how therapy isn't really a thing in Japan. It's more, internalized as far as mental health problems. And Brendan Fraser's character is the one who's trying to make everything feel therapeutic with different types of people in different situations. And yeah, from the get-go, when you start to understand that from the beginning of the film, then the film kind of starts to make sense as far as trying to figure out Brendan Fraser's character's arc, even though the beats by beats. And to elaborate on that is kind of reductive because I've seen these types of films before where one person is acting out as something else, but then eventually one character, starts to learn about that other character's fakeness, and then eventually it spirals out of control. And this is basically the plot of the movie, where you have Brendan Fraser's character, Philip, who is acting out like a father in one of the family members' family, and the daughter, who doesn't have a father, is becoming attached to Philip, and then eventually the daughter knows about Philip's past, and it eventually, spirals out of control. And you know where it's going to go. Either it's going to go, well, this kid, I really loved her, now I have to back out, or something else will happen. But I'm not going to spoil it here, but you probably know what it is. But there's other characters in this film that kind of make the film feel more lively, like Akira Moto's character. Akira Moto, he's been kind of praised a lot before this movie came out. People expected him to be the supporting actor, frontrunner. But I will say this, his performance in this movie is great, but it's not enough for me to really choose him as the best supporting actor, frontrunner. He does a really good job, and he does get a lot of, Oscar baity moments, but not too much to the point where you're just yeah, I want to nominate him. It's just it's a good performance. The whole movie as a whole is very manipulative as far as bringing out the emotions. You kind of hear and kind of feel what the film's going to tell you to do. So the score will, ratchet up once, something terrible is about to happen, or the orchestra will just blare while, a sad moment happens, and you're just yeah, this is the moment where you cry. or this is the moment where you get angry, or this is the moment where you laugh and cry again. But yeah, like it was just very frustrating to me to kind of like get that thing in my head, because I want the film to kind of play without those, you know, manipulative moments, instead of, you know, giving me something else. But yeah, like what's really frustrating with this film is just the way it's manipulating the audience, and I don't like that. And personally, if you've seen a lot of films that are dealing with like this type of drama, and you don't want, you know, the movie to tell you what to feel, then yeah, it's going to be like off-putting. But I think for people who don't really watch a lot of movies, they only watch like 2 or 3 movies a year, I think this will totally work for them, but not for me. So that's why I give this movie like a 3 out of 5. It's probably because like I have seen these types of films before. I know where it's gonna go. I know each beat by beat, and that added layer of just, you know, manipulation kind of just ruins the experience for me. But as far as just like everything else positively, I think Brendan Fraser, his performance is pretty decent. He speaks Japanese for most of the film, which was really surprising, and I'm glad he actually put in the effort to do that. Akiramoto does a really damn good job in this movie, even though his character is predictable. You know what exactly he's going to do and how his arc is going to end. Takehiro Hira and Marie Yomoto also do really great performances as like the 2 employees who are trying to make everything afloat, while Brendan Fraser, who is the American, is trying to, you know, destroy the company, even though it's not really a destruction. It's more of just like, I don't understand why these clients are really like bonding with me. And yeah, man, I think this movie is pretty solid. It is not a player as far as like an Oscar player, but I give this a 3 out of 5. I think this is just going to blank as far as like awards. I think this is just going to go straight to theaters and Hulu, and that's it. This is not Searchlight's big player. I think Is This Thing On is going to be more of a player as far as I can tell from like the trailer. But yeah, man, this is just, it's fine. You've seen it before, but just watch it for Brendan Fraser. Please do. But yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed this little small video. I will be continuing doing my TIFF reviews as, you know, the weeks come. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Thank you guys. Peace out.